evening, everybody. Welcome to We the People. Tonight, We the People meet Sonia Aery. She's running for California's 3rd Assembly District against a very prolific Republican. We're going to talk about him, James Gallagher. He's loaded, and we're going to map that money, see where that money comes from. We're very glad that Sonia is running against him. We need somebody progressive, and she is progressive, and she is backed by the California Democratic Party proper, which we were talking in the green room. Maybe they didn't look at her website closely enough. We'll find out more. Sonia, thank you so much for joining us on We the People.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Looking forward to talk to you. Glad you're not on fire, though. I just want to get that out of the way because you've got that around
me personally, I'm not on fire right now. Yeah.
Or your area, although you were saying that smoke was pretty bad right now. And so we talk about that. But before we get into that, the lovely Laura Livegood is here, and she's going to tell everybody how to engage, because this is an engagement broadcast. Laura.
This is an engagement broadcast, and if you are lucky enough to be watching us live, dozens of you, and you have a question for Sonia during the broadcast, tag them in the chat. Write the word question all in caps, or tag my name so I can see them, because I need to be able to see them. And we'll stop a couple times during the show and ask our questions. I will also drop Sonia's website so that you can get a good idea of her general platform to answer your preliminary questions. And I think she's going to have some people from her campaign in chat as well. You can shout out to them with some questions and just keep the conversation going.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laura.
You're welcome.
Sonia. So I'm reading your bio here from your website. You're the proud daughter of Indian immigrants. Your parents worked hard to make sure your brother and you had a better life than they had in India. Why would you choose to run for office then? Why did you choose to run as in California's 3rd district? That seems like a huge endeavor given the incumbent.
Yeah, it is. But the reason I'm running is because I've had a really great life thanks to the hard work of my parents and so many other immigrants and first-generation immigrants and so on. So I just felt a need to give back and to try to make it so that other people who are either new to this country or have been here for a long time can lead a more fulfilled life and don't have to kind of work themselves to death trying to make ends meet. I believe that people should be paid living wages, that people should have access to free health care, which would be, regardless of their income. And I believe that we have to take care of our local natural resources to make sure that we have a safer, healthier, cleaner community for future generations.
Absolutely.
For a long time, we've not had a voice in Sacramento. In the North State, we've been represented by a Republican for decades at this point. And we can see that that's not been really conducive to a safe, clean, healthy North State. Right now, 43% of families in my district, in the 3rd district, are making less than $20,000 annually.
Wow.
While my opponent has over $673,000 in his campaign account and is continuing to have fundraisers. So I'm not a career politician like my opponent is. I just want to do what's right for the North State. I want us to have a voice in Sacramento, and I want us to have representation. And so I thought that I would be the one to do that up here. I'm a small business owner.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, so I live in Chico. I was born here in Chico. I grew up in Yuba City, which is about an hour south of me. And I got my undergraduate degree from UC Davis. Cool. In community and regional development, and then my graduate degree from Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo in city and regional planning. So I do have an idea of what I'm talking about here when talking about a brighter future for the North State. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I talk to people every day about things that they're going through and struggles that they're trying to overcome, and I get to help them through that. So, yeah, I think that I can do that on a larger scale.
Do that better than James Gallagher's doing? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
James seems
yeah,
to be doing it for a lot of corporations. We'll look at his money trail later. He certainly has donations. You're absolutely right about that. But don't be distressed about what I mean, you're looking at what, $17,000-$18,000, and for a progressive campaign running against a GOP juggernaut, that's huge. So congratulations on that. We definitely need to help you out there, but that's huge. So of all the issues going on in your district, and there are many, as there is across the United States, what's the one that is affecting you or that you're championing the most right now?
So, kind of a theme of my campaign is that everything impacts everything. So, while one issue might be really near and dear to my heart, each of these issues impacts everything else. So, the thing that really gets me riled up is living wages up here, and the fact that 43% of our district is making less than 20,000 annually, while costs are increasing, is really shameful. And I think that if we can raise the minimum wage, that we can go a long way to providing a more stable life for a lot of people, particularly in the North State. But then that goes hand in hand with a few other things, right?
Right.
Single payer health care. If people didn't, I mean, people are already paying out of that out of their pockets right now, or they're just going without health care and risking medical bankruptcy. It's people are paying for it somehow, and so I feel like everyone's paying for it anyway. We should just have healthcare regardless of income.
I love that. I love what you said, because everything is tied together. It's really hard to nail it all down. I guess we're going to come to one we're going to say, look, the thing we're actually limited time-wise on, other than people are already suffering and dying, is climate change. Would you agree that that's kind of like our, the death of the human species would be like priority to address? Maybe,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is, the thing that I feel like that progressives don't do well, at least, is that we don't talk to the general public about the fact that we're living in a climate crisis right now. We love preaching to the choir, right?
Right.
But I think, especially in the North State, with all of our natural resources up here, we need brave leadership who understands that these multiple climate disasters that we've been experiencing up here, from the fires to the flooding to the Oroville Dam crisis last year, those are a serious threat to our way of life in the North State. Not only to obviously the natural part of the natural disasters, but they're a serious threat to our prosperity up here, to our economy. Last year during the Oroville Dam crisis, nearly 200,000 people had about an hour to evacuate.
Wow.
It was like 4:30 on a Saturday afternoon, or 5:30 on a Saturday afternoon, when they finally said, okay, get out. The dam might break any minute. We had about an hour to evacuate. The financial impact, not only to Oroville, but to as far south as like West Sacramento, was devastating. The thing is, in 2005, it would have cost about $100 million to fully repair the main spillway and the emergency spillway. Now, this past year, it's cost almost $5 million per day.
Oh, wow.
Just in emergency repairs. This isn't even like the full scale of the repairs.
$5 million a day?
$5 million a day. It's like 4.7 million.
Jerry,
so now it's going to cost over at least close to $2 billion.
That's insane.
To get it to normal, safe levels, when it could have cost $100 million, over 10 years ago, 13 years ago at this point.
That's ridiculous. And do you think that part of being responsible as a representative and taking care of the citizens in your state is looking at infrastructure and how it needs to be dealt with regard to climate change and where things are headed?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Infrastructure is not only important, like I said, everything impacts everything.
Right.
But infrastructure is not only important to like public safety, but it's important to boosting up our rural economy up here. We're not going to be able to create the jobs that people deserve if no one can, if we don't have a decent road in the entire district or in the entire North State. We have to increase access to these more rural areas. And so investments in public infrastructure are essential, not only to public safety, but to our economy, to our health, there's a reason I always, if any of you saw this, our Secretary of Homeland Security visited Reading. I think it was last week.
No.
Yeah. And so, there's a reason that I say that everything impacts everything. The climate crisis that we're living through is not just danger to our natural resources, but like I said, to our economy, to our health, and now to our national security, our sense of freedom up here. Yeah.
Well, agreed. Well, James disagrees with you. I just want to
Mm-hmm.
This is the incumbent feels this way. This is a quote from James on climate. We're already a leader in climate change at a great cost to jobs and the economy. Other states and countries should enact their own reforms before California does anything else. So he's saying that because California's already done so much, it's at the great cost of jobs. What do you say to that?
So yeah, my opponent likes to bash on California and Sacramento pretty often. If you look at his social media, he's generally pretty negative about things. And to that, I say, well, in particular, for the forest management up here, this is the U.S. the U.S. Forest Service that has been defunded since about 2010, when we had a Republican-led Congress that has been defunding the U.S. Forest Service since then. So the fact that he's saying before California does anything else, it's like, well, our own country needs to do some stuff, and California is a leader. We should be proud to be a leader in this country. There's a good saying from the, I'm surprised that I'm saying this, but from the Democratic convention this year that California was not part of this country's history when it began, but it is now certainly keeper of its future. And
Could be.
And
Could be.
It could be. I mean, we should strive for that, I think.
Right. Well, I think James is laying on that there are jobs being lost because we are pushing California so forward on green energy. But I think looking at your site, you feel the opposite, that a lot more jobs and opportunities can be created through a green energy initiative. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's kind of going back to this, like the Green New Deal, right? There are really great jobs, particularly in the solar industry, that we should really capitalize on. We have such a great opportunity in the North State to be leaders in the solar industry. We just passed this law that like every home in California is going to have solar panels by I can't remember the year, but pretty soon we're going to all have to have solar panels.
Great.
I mean, we could bring that industry to the North State and be a state leader in providing those solar panels.
Right. It's hard to do though. Didn't the current administration just pull back on all the nice subsidies and benefits for the solar industry? Kind of.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to flip the house this year.
Absolutely. Yeah. So. Climate. Just everybody. James not there. Sonia gets it, and glad you're safe. Right now.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Yeah, I mean the like I said, we don't really talk to the general public about this. We're gonna need bipartisan support on this. It can't just come from the Democrats. We have a few very brave Republican leaders who are championing this and are trying to explain to their fellow Republicans that this is something real, that the energy, the heat that we're trapping is the energy equivalent to 450,000 Hiroshima-sized atomic bombs going off in the atmosphere every day. To put it in very simple terms, if you heat the earth, you will melt the ice, and you will swamp the cities, and you will destroy agriculture. We have to put it in very simple terms. Otherwise, people are not going to understand.
Well, I mean, and mainstream media has been denying this and not really helping to inform the electorate, and that's not helped. But I mean, you and I were talking earlier in the green room. Until a lot of rich folk are directly affected by climate, they're not going to do anything. Seems like that's starting to happen in the USA a lot. Right?
Yeah, it's impacting the economy. Go figure. Everything impacts everything.
Yeah.
So it's starting to happen more. I don't want it to, destroy our economy, but it's going to impact it, regardless of whether we want it to or not. So we just really need to get ourselves in gear here and kind of grow up and start managing our natural resources properly.
And just on Jerry Brown, because I don't get this. Like, he seems to be such a popular guy. And I get it that he saved California a whole bunch of money, but what good is that going to do if you're all on fire and flooded, right?
Yeah.
What do you think of Jerry?
Well, with friends like Jerry Brown, don't really know enemies. He's done a lot of good things. I don't agree with him on many things, but that's coming to an end pretty soon anyway. So
yeah.
We'll see what our next governor.
Do you think the next governor is going to be a little more climate forward, or do you think they're going to maintain the fracking empire throughout the San Andreas?
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
I have hopes, but I'm also a realistic person.
And just on that, I said this at the beginning that California, you're endorsed by the California Democratic Party, yet you, and we're just going to lead into this, you support a single-payer Medicare for all system. How is that?
Yeah, I don't think that they checked my website before they endorsed me. No, I was the only Democrat in the race, and so I had the good fortune of getting their endorsement.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's good.
Well, everybody needs to read this. This is what James is quoting BS. We already know. Even the Koch brothers agree that it would save us money. No, he says it would cost. Do you support single payer? No, it'll cost taxpayers $400 billion. I don't know where he comes up with that number. To put it into perspective, the entire state budget. I mean, this is BS, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Do we?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone has an incentive to make Medicare for all not work, it would be the Koch brothers.
Right.
And now at this point, even the Koch brothers are like, well, okay, it's going to save us $20 trillion. Go figure.
I think it's 2, but whatever.
Is it 2 trillion?
2 trillion, but that's plenty, really.
Yeah.
We're talking trillions. 2 trillion's a lot.
It is.
That's enough.
No, I thought it costs 32 trillion now, and our current system costs 49 trillion.
I don't know. Either way, it saves a shit ton of money, right?
Exactly. It's a lot of money.
You and I don't have to be the mathematicians here.
Right.
Even though I am. No. There's a lot of numbers floating around. The bottom line is we know it works, right? And we've seen it work in other countries, right?
Yeah. Every other industrialized country in the world has this. I mean, it's an embarrassment to me that the wealthiest nation in world history can't get our act together and provide health care to all of its citizens, regardless of income.
Absolutely. I just read an article a couple days ago that India, where your parents came from, is now going to implement some kind of health care plan. I mean, even it's
for
like
the poorest 500 million people. Yeah.
Yeah. Do your parents? Can you consider going back? It's like, this might be better.
My mom just got back from vacation from there, and she was like, "It's changed a lot since we left." was like, what are you thinking, Mom?
Well,
No, I don't. We're going to stay here, but
yeah, I'm glad. We need people like you here. Please
Yeah.
stay here. We need women in
Always
office. We need women of color in office, women with diversity in office. Please. So thank you for staying here. I will say though, it seems to me like climate change has affected India a hell of a lot more, and that they're making changes a hell of a lot faster. Would you agree?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the development in India has skyrocketed. We were in America. We were, we've been kind of plugging along here and developing all this stuff. Now it's all developed, and countries like India can just kind of start using it. The wealth of the country has increased dramatically, and so.
Yeah.
But of course, now we're angry at them for using this stuff. It's like, well, we developed it, so. You can't be mad at the country that, well, the United States didn't colonize it, but you can't be mad when the country that you've colonized is now using the inventions that you've come up with to propel itself forward from all the pillaging and all that.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Laura Livengood, who donated $5 to tell me to get the curse from screen. You should have just said something to me, Laura. Shit. Oh well. Didn't even know.
I've been saying it in chat and I've been saying it in Zoom, and you're ignoring me. So that was the only way I could get your attention. Looked like a fly on the wall.
I couldn't hear you because I muted you, darling, because you were typing. But that's all right. This has been a great conversation, regardless.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So, side path on healthcare. What can happen? We're seeing it all around the world. It seems like it's getting blocked up at the top there, and that would be something you can help, right, as part of being in the assembly. This assembly is where this is getting stuck with Rendon,
yes.
Right?
Yes, yeah. It's getting stuck at the top there, and so I think that, like I said earlier, the North State has had Republican leadership for a long time, and we haven't had our voice heard, mainly because we've got a 2/3 Democratic state, right? And so we've got this. For better or for worse, we've got this two-party system that apparently now we just don't listen to anyone who disagrees with us. So I'm hoping that as a Democratic Assemblywoman from the North State, I'll be able to give the North State a voice in Sacramento and actually get some stuff done.
Yes, that is awesome. I am wonderful. All right, well, let's take next issue. You've got. We grabbed a lot of stuff from your website. Thank you to Lynn Vermont and our volunteers for putting this together. I just want to show the connections here. Education, technology, and environment. We just tackled environment, and we kind of talked about technology in terms of needing jobs, bringing people into green jobs, which is going to involve technology. What about education? Where's California at with education? What do you think we need to do there?
So we've got some big issues with education. For one thing, I talk to families every day who are wondering if they're going to be able to afford an education for their kids. Again, in the wealthiest country in world history, this should be a no-brainer. We should have tuition-free college education, community college education, and career technical education for anyone who wants it. This is an investment in our future, in our economy. We need to have educated, skilled young people to make sure that we're competitive in the national economy and the world economy.
But how will we pay for it? How will we pay? That's going to be expensive.
We just will, John. We just will. It's, my friend in Holland pays 51% tax on her income.
Socialist.
And actually. And she just gets a free education and free healthcare and decent roads and stuff like that. It's weird how it happens.
It is. It's amazing.
It's just free stuff, right? You just want free stuff.
All free. Yeah, none of it. Yeah, right. It's all free.
Hey, Laura Livengood, do we have any questions from the audience?
Not yet.
All right, then.
I'm sure someone will have one when they remember that they can ask a question by writing the word question all in caps or tagging me.
There you go.
Otherwise, I'm going to assume it's a rhetorical question and I'm going to ignore you.
Oh.
So, we're going to tackle affordable housing, and then we're going to move into one of my favorites. But California, everybody's got this problem. California has some serious issues with affordable housing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. So I used to work in affordable housing, and what I would do is help people through financial education. So basically, somebody who was working on building their home, so like through programs kind of like Habitat for Humanity. There's
Sure.
one of the main programs up here is called CHIP, the Community Housing Improvement Program, and they're incredible. They're doing such incredible work.
Wonderful.
Basically, this neighborhood gets together and builds their houses together, and nobody can move in until all the houses are complete. And it takes like 6 months to a year to build not each home, but each like neighborhood. And during that time, I used to provide like financial education. Like here's what it means to here's how home ownership works. Here's personal finance and things like that. And so the first time I did that was right after the 2008 financial crisis.
Yikes.
Yeah, so that was fun. I learned a lot at that point about the devastating impacts of deregulation, particularly in the financial industry. And so I became kind of a financial crisis nerd, and I read a lot about it, and I just learned as much as I possibly could about it. And
wow. How unique.
yeah, right. Yeah, nobody my age is looking at that, right?
Well, no rep or anybody that want to be,
Oh,
know.
Oh, yes, yeah. Why would we want to actually learn about the issues we're facing? Yeah.
Right.
So we're getting very dangerously close to those levels of deregulation again.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, and so that kind of like I said, everything impacts everything. So that deregulation is slowly going to start impacting our homeownership rates again in the country and in California in particular. So during the 2008 financial crisis, we had this kind of mass exodus of workers from the building trades, and they never came back. And so there's a few things that we need to do to kind of solve this housing crisis that we have in California. Short term, we have to implement rent control. So that's Prop 10 in California.
Okay.
And so that will be one thing. The kind of medium term strategy would be to speak with local governments about reducing regulations on a local level in terms of you can only build single family homes. No, we don't have the time or the space for that. We need to invest in a bigger diversity, a greater diversity of housing options. Not everybody needs a single family home, right?
Right.
A childless couple might not want a 2,400 square foot house or whatever. Maybe condos are a better option, or mixed use, more creative solutions to housing and local economies. So that would be kind of a medium term solution.
Excellent.
Long term, this is where we get back to investing in career technical education and get people back into the building trades. When you increase the supply of employees, that will help to decrease the cost of all these projects. That's the thing, is none of these projects pencil out, right? And so if we can get them to pencil out, we can hopefully incentivize developers to start building affordable homes and make them not as difficult to build. We are kind of the regulation kings in California, and so if we can ease that up a little bit, particularly with the ridiculous vacancy rates that we have. For example, in Butte County, we have a 1% vacancy rate.
Wow.
1%. Yeah. So we've been talking to the Butte County Housing Authority. They're giving out Section 8 vouchers as much as they can, but nobody can find housing. So that doesn't really help if there's no vacancies, right? So yeah, you kind of have to come at this a few different ways, but that's kind of the plan in a nutshell.
That's interesting. I thought that there was more of a problem with having vacant homes that nobody could afford, but in some areas, you're just saying that there's just nothing available.
Countrywide, yeah, that's countrywide. There is that problem of just vacant homes that are just sitting there.
Or there's also the vacant homes that are just vacant. People own them and they're empty. We see a lot of that in San Francisco. Just all these empty buildings that keep them for Airbnbs or just for investment purposes or whatever, and they don't have anybody living in them.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. We see that a lot throughout California and throughout the country.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically in the North State, we don't have a lot of that going on. It's more there's just not enough homes. We would need 1,200 units just to meet the demand right now. Like we would need 1,200 units yesterday.
Wow.
Just meet the
1,200 affordable units, which the word affordable
Right.
seems to be of question between groups of individuals, right?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, according to the federal government, affordable means you're not paying more than 30% of your income.
And now we're back to a living wage.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Everything impacts everything.
Right, right.
Wow.
Laura, that was a great answer, by the way. Very comprehensive. I appreciate that.
Oh, thanks.
Well said. I think I see that we have some questions. Laura.
Yes, we have a couple good questions. Elena asks, what are you hearing from the constituents of 83, and what are people concerned about most?
A lot of people are concerned about healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the thing that I've had the most common ground with everyone on, Republicans or Democrats.
Are they scared of the word single payer and Medicare for all? How do you address it with, say, Republican-y constituents?
Yeah. Well, I just bring it back to human dignity. At this point, that is something that brings us kind of all together. This is, at this point, it's a question of human dignity. Are we going to allow people to die because they didn't have the extra $50 they needed for their insulin medication? I don't know if you've seen, but there was a GoFundMe. There's a story about this guy who started a GoFundMe because he couldn't afford his insulin medication.
Yep.
And he was $50 short.
It's one of many stories.
Exactly. Yeah. One out
And
of
he died.
3 GoFundMe accounts are specifically for medical bills.
That you realize we just created single payer on our own.
Exactly. It's not, yeah, exactly.
We should just
yeah.
negotiate as a people with
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe.
I know. It's sad, but true.
Anyway, carry on.
No,
I
but
didn't mean
anyway,
to interrupt.
that's the main issue that people are really serious about here. And then I think the second one would be affordable housing.
Yeah.
That no one can find a place to live. We've got people from the Bay Area coming in here, which is great. You know, we need a greater diversity of people in the North State. But then the people who have been here for a long time can't afford a place to live. So those are probably the top two issues that we're hearing about in the North State in particular, that I'm hearing about.
Great.
Good.
Any other questions?
Got another one.
Awesome.
LaDonna mentions that Gallagher voted against prohibiting conversion therapy. Please talk about where you stand on this.
Yeah, that
Maybe explain what it is for those who don't know what it is.
Yeah, so conversion therapy is a practice of torture. Let's just be very frank about it. It's meant to try to convince gay people in the LGBTQ community that they can be changed. I am gay, and you can't. I mean, the fact that it's a issue of just not accepting people for who they are. I was actually pretty surprised to see my opponents vote on that. So the bill was to the proposal was to label the sale of conversion therapy as a fraudulent business practice, which it absolutely is.
And he wouldn't say yeah on that. Wow.
Correct. Yeah, he voted nay. He's on that, and yeah, it was really disappointing. It was incredibly disappointing to me personally, but that's kind of one of many, as you're showing now, one of many nay votes that he has on seemingly common sense.
And who is he appeasing with that position?
I'm guessing rich Christian people.
Okay.
Well, we'll look at where he gets all his money from, and it's just a bunch of
Okay.
rich CEOs. But yeah, these are just some of his recent nays. Everybody, authorized same-day voter registration? Nope. Medicaid benefits for undocumented children? No way. Prohibiting advertising conversion therapy? Nope. Establishing a statewide sanctuary policy? No way. Prohibits firing employees for obtaining an abortion? Nope. Recognizing non-binary as an official gender? Nope. That's one of 2 pages I have here. We could go on, but yeah,
Wow.
you see the kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah, it's really sad.
Girl, you need to do this. Seriously.
I'm trying as hard as I can. I promise you. He talks a lot about shared values and protecting our way of life.
Oh,
And
God. Yeah.
he's talking about a very specific set of people. He's not talking about I can tell you, he's not talking about that 43% of people in the North State who are making less than $20,000 while he's sitting on over $670,000.
yeah.
Just
Exactly. Any other
just for
questions,
him.
Laura Livengood?
Yeah, we do one. They just came through. What's your pathway to victory? What's the plan?
Yeah. So the assembly district is relatively evenly distributed. There is a slight lean for Republicans, but it's not enough to win just by partisan voting. So there's about 20% a little over 20% of the of registered voters who are declining to state or no party preference. And so those are going to be the people that we target. We're going to really talk to those folks who are convinced that that this two-party system is not viable. It's not sustainable, certainly. And we're going to really talk to them about the issues. We're also going to turn out new voters. That's going to be my personal mission, is to turn out new voters. These are, I think, a lot of young people are so how would I say this? They've lost all faith in our election process, particularly after 2016, and I can't blame them.
Right.
But I think it's going to be our work to show young people that the presidential election is probably the last thing that will impact you. These local and state elections are really going to have a significant impact on your life, and you can really make a difference when you actually come out and vote.
Well
that's
said.
our path to. Oh, hey, thanks.
Well, I mean, honestly, because everybody focuses on what's going on at the top, and oh my God, Pelosi and Trump and this person, that, but we can't affect change up there yet. We can affect change in Assembly District 3, right? Or
Absolutely.
at the city council. I want to show everybody what you're talking about. I'm glad you said it, because this is encouraging. This is 2016, everybody. Take a look at the numbers. All right. It's not a Republican washout. Right, it's 20-point lead, but like Sonia said, you've got the no party preference, and that's a huge selection this time around. My guess is the Republican vote's not going to be quite as popular as it was last time. I'm just making a guess. What do you think? Not quite.
I agree. I think that there has been a tremendous energy around changing things at all levels of government, which has been really encouraging. There's been a tremendous energy around first-time candidates. People don't want business as usual. People particularly don't want corporate money in politics. And that's why I've pledged to run a completely corporate-free campaign.
Nice. And is that ringing true with your constituents on both sides?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. People are sick of money in politics. And I think that's a big reason of why people feel so disheartened with our political process. They feel like, well, I can vote, but Monsanto is about to just buy this election essentially. So what's the point?
Right.
And they're not wrong. But that's that's both sides of the aisle, right? So the Democratic National Committee, whatever, just voted that that fossil fuel donations were okay to take.
Right.
Like, and this is why people hate Democrats. What the hell? What are we doing?
And they're still supporting. I mean, I don't know what the California Democratic Party has to say about that national decision, right? But it'd be interesting to see. But there's that division in the party is very real. You know what I mean? Like
it's very real, and I think a lot of people are seeing that it's increasingly becoming kind of the money party versus the people party.
Exactly.
It's not any longer Republicans versus Democrats, because I think people are now seeing, thankfully,
Yes,
with thanks to advances in technology and information technology and communication, people are now able to see that it doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or Republican. You can still be bought and sold. I choose to be unbought, and I think that's what people, regardless of party affiliation, want to see.
absolutely. Absolutely. And let's just take a look at money real quick, because I have all these great pictures about money. We're doing everybody know that we're doing the Map the Money project, and that has me doing a lot of opposition research. And so I did some of that. This is Sonia's funding so far, and this is a snapshot, so it may not be 100% accurate whenever the snapshot was taken. But in-state donations, 17,000 and change. Out-of-state, none. You can see that the Democratic Party actually donated $250. So it's not like the DCCC dropped a shitload of cash on Sonia's campaign, but they did give her something. Personal funds in there. Sonia's got personal funds in there, and individual contributions makes up the rest. Okay. That's people. Yeah. That's people. Now, what I want to show you about this, everybody, is that people get coded. Okay. So here's Sonia's top contributors, and you can see that these are all people. Except for one in there, there's the Yuba Sutter Democratic Club. There's that $250. Okay? But other than that, this is all the people, everybody. At this point, this is everybody on the list of who has donated, okay? That's over a certain amount. So very small donations don't show up on this list, all right? Here's the industries that those people have been associated with in the system. This is important. So you see the insurance industry is where the majority of your friends who have donated to you are working in, or what the system has decided they're coded as. All right. Then there's uncoded. We don't know where this money comes from. Those are just people that haven't been assigned a code, an industry, a sector. All right. And then you can see candidate contributions, unitemized contributions, and party committee contributions. Here's what that looks like in terms of sectors. So we go from individual contributors to industries to sectors. And you can see that in the sectors, the money's all the same. $8,000 to finance, insurance, and real estate is a grouping of a sector. And then there's that uncoded bit and everything else, right? I just want to show you that so that we can look at Mr. Gallagher. It's a little different. So his total change at this snapshot was $673,000 in change, and I know he's got more at this point. They had a problem with some of the coding, okay? This is what happens when you get people that have a lot of power. I just want to show you, this comes from Follow the Money. Uncoded, the category of the donor is unknown or not yet assigned. He has a massive chunk of uncoded people. They have no idea where these people are assigned, really, because they're really rich, powerful people. That's why. And we see this. When you're rich and powerful, you can have your coding kind of So almost $300,000 of uncodedness. Then tribal governments, apparently working a lot with tribal governments out there. The insurance industry, then we get into the kaleidoscope. Insurance industry, beer and wine, crop production, telecom industries, tobacco companies, waste management, oil and gas, automotive, forestry products, food and beverage, computer equipment. It's all corporate, right? Here's those uncoded sectors, right? General business, agriculture. Here's the top 30 contributors. There's names that show up on here, and those names that have donated money, like Randy McLaughlin, he's an uncoded person. Randy represents some industry that really likes James, but we don't know what industry that is yet. But you can see the big ones: AT&T, Anheuser-Busch, Philip Morris, that's tobacco products, everybody. All right, Blue Cross Blue Shield, it goes on. There's the money difference. We're talking a Davita and Goliath situation, right? Basically. That was the kaleidoscope of money. You're going after somebody who is just completely funded by industry. And that's a little scary. Have you had any conversations with James?
I haven't. No, but funny thing is that we both have a fundraiser coming up on September 12th. Mine is a karaoke fundraiser at a bar.
Nice.
His
I like it. I want to go.
is at a country club.
Of
Like,
course.
of course,
Of course it
of
is.
course, yeah.
You should go.
I might go and hand out like after party flyers.
I was gonna say.
Yours would be so much cooler.
Right. Go to the pool party after.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But I mean, the fact that he's still fundraising when he's got over $670,000.
You know what that tells us?
How much money do you need?
And it tells us he might be a little nervous.
That's what it tells us, Sonia. That he needs every dollar he can come up with because he's going to be spending it on media or something. Everybody out there knows that he's built a war chest here because he's afraid. Right? He knows he's not popular, and he knows he's got Sonia chasing his butt. That we got to help her out. Where can people go to help you? What website address? Where can they go to donate?
Yeah. So you can go to soniafораssembly.org. It's all spelled out. My name's right there, right here.
I've been dropping it in chat as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, soniafораssembly.org. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you want to follow the campaign, it's we're having a lot of fun. We're talking to voters and building a really strong momentum. We've got a few endorsements in at this point. We're working on a few more.
Excellent.
Planned Parenthood Northern California Action Fund has endorsed us. Like you mentioned earlier, California Democratic Party, Butte County Democratic Party, Yuba Sutter Democratic Party.
Nice.
We've got a dual endorsement from the California Labor Federation, which
Interesting.
All
right. Well, good for you.
Yeah, and then we're working on a few more that we'll be excited to announce up in the coming weeks. But yeah, soniafораssembly.org is the website. All of our events are on our Facebook page, and we kind of post those regularly. But right now, yeah, I mean, definitely, like I said, I committed to running a corporate-free campaign because I believe that we're supposed to be representing the people and not corporations or special interests. But because of that, I need the people to put me in office.
That's right.
And so I need any amount of donation is excellent and super useful. And then we need people to get out and talk to those 20% of the district that are declined to state or no party preference.
Awesome.
We have to get out the vote for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And I think I saw some of the questions come through.
Yeah, I do have a final question. Fluffy Bunny wants to know, if you don't win this time around, will you run again?
That's hard to say. Like I said, I'm not a career politician. It's hard to say where I'm going to be in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to say that I would run, but I don't want to commit to that right now.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I'm really just focused on getting through this election and doing it.
I like what some of the progressives have been saying is like this, there are no losing progressive races right now. You're getting some kick-ass experience, and you're mobilizing your volunteers who are pretty kick-ass themselves. So you're starting the momentum in 2020. It might be a whole different ballgame.
It might be, yeah. It would be exciting,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want to commit to it.
Let's win this one first.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm with you. And I'm glad,
Thank you
we'll
very
have you there, but that's right. You're a champion, and we're building a bench of champions. So thank you for doing this, because Laura and I have learned that running is absolutely the hardest thing to do in this entire revolution. So.
It's unbelievable. And by the way, I still own a business that I'm trying to.
What do you do? What is it? What's your business?
I am a personal lines insurance agent, so I do like home insurance, life insurance, auto insurance, stuff like that.
How's that going with the climate these days?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. So PG&E is now they're trying to pass a bill that basically shoves off liability to the consumers rather than the negligent companies that are leaving.
Nice.
Anyway, poorly managed. Anyway. So we're just kind of keeping an eye on that. We don't want consumers to have to foot the bill for all of this damage that's been caused. I mean, last year, a lot of the fires were caused because they're just poorly managed facilities and things like that. This year, there were a few more that were started by a human,
Right. I know.
accident. But the fact that they've spread so quickly and so fiercely is not just an accident. It's definitely related to for forest management on the federal level. Um, but anyway, yeah, I mean, it's been devastating to see. Luckily, not many of my clients, but my fellow colleagues' clients have, um, you know, people have lost everything. My uncle last year lost his home. It was completely gone in the Santa Rosa fires last year.
Are insurance companies continuing to insure homes that have already been burned, or I mean, is that changing as the industry realizes that they're just going to be paying out the butt for the rest of the,
Yeah, I think, so at least in my company, we started this thing in 2016 where we would, not we, but the company would contract with inspectors who would drive by the house, make sure there aren't like pine needles on the roof or, peeling paint or brush everywhere. And one of the things that we learned last year was that if a fire crew comes up to two houses, one is clear of brush and one is not, they're going to go and save the house that is clear of brush because there's a much higher chance of saving that house.
Interesting.
And I can't tell you how many clients of mine have complained, oh, you're invading my privacy, this and that. It's like, well, maybe we're checking out your house, but we're doing it because we're insuring this house and we want to make sure that it's, as little risk as possible. And
Right.
to hear, the fire crews say that was a deciding factor for them, that kind of made me feel good about, what we're doing and trying to make sure that people's homes are at as little risk as possible, proactively and not, after the fact.
Well, yeah. I mean, if that's your business, I mean, that's profit loss right there. If you're not,
Yeah,
like wearing a seatbelt, kind of.
Sure, yeah, there's that, but it's also like, people have died because of these fires. I mean, not as much this year, but last year it was horrific.
Right.
My uncle, I mean, they had to evacuate like in the middle of the night. They just happened to be awake because they had some friends over that night. My grandma was with them. My two little cousins were with them. And they were lucky to get out of the house and evacuate the city.
That's scary.
In the middle of the night. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, of course the property devastation is, the property damage is devastating, but the loss of life is really what scares me and why we do what we do.
Absolutely.
There's a reason for it.
Well, we got like 7 minutes. It's been a great interview. Can we have you back?
Absolutely. I'd love to come back.
Wonderful.
Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, everybody in the audience. Are there any other questions, Laura?
Nope, that's what we have got everything.
All right. Well, excellent. So you picked the sounds, the best of me. Tell us about this. It's an interesting choice. We were talking about it in Green Room. It's getting harder and harder to find songs that aren't censored, but the sounds got awful. Who are these? I've never even heard of this group. Where are they from?
Yeah, they're a Scandinavian band. They're kind of a rock band. I learned about them like, I don't know, 10 years ago at this point, and nobody really knows about them. But but they're just like this rocker chick and her four bandmates, and I really like them. They're really upbeat, and this song in particular is like, trust me, hold on, we're gonna get through this. And so it's been kind of a
Nice.
balm for my soul these days.
Well, good. I'm glad you feel that way, and I hope everybody in California watches this and brings you support. You sound like you know what you're talking about. You've got the experience we need. I really appreciate what you have to say on the issues, and thank you for taking on James Gallagher, overachieving Republican. Appreciate that. Where are you going to be? We're going to be next? Do you have you out canvassing, or do you know?
Yeah, we're canvassing every weekend. We have one office in Chico, and we might be able to get another office in Yuba City.
Excellent.
Coming up here. Yeah, hopefully next month we're planning on that. But yeah, we're canvassing as much as we possibly can. I am calling as many people as I can, trying to raise funds for the campaign, and I'm calling all over the state. I'm not calling just in our district. I'm calling everywhere. because we need everyone's help to win this. It's that important.
It is. It is. I was laughing at Laura
so-
live and good, not you.
Good.
Seriously. We're listening
Yeah.
to you.
Almost puts me on camera when I'm about to take a drink or something.
I know.
Yeah. So this weekend is really exciting. We've got Chico Pride, and we're gonna have a booth there. I'm gonna be speaking this Thursday. I'm gonna be speaking at a Chico Pride event. So definitely people should come out to that.
Can they Can they find out about this stuff on social media or Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna be posting events probably later tonight or tomorrow morning about Chico Pride in particular. And then canvassing events are happening every weekend as well. And so I would love any help that we can get. If you really believe in the seriousness of our situation, what we need is for you to get off of your social media and get out there and actually talk to people, have the conversations. It's not that scary, I promise. And I'll do it with you if you don't want to do it alone. I'll be there with you.
That's awesome.
So,
That's awesome. Thank you so
absolutely.
much, everybody. Sonia Aery, she's running in California's 3rd congressional district, and she's a Democrat backed by the Democratic Party that believes in single-payer Medicare. So, hello. Hello.
Thank you guys so much. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Laura Live and Good, thank you so much for all you do. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Everybody out there, here we go. Getting out of here with The Sounds, The Best of Me. Do we have any other wees scheduled, Laura?
We've got Charles Mont coming up in a couple weeks. We have it, I think it's September 10th.
There you
That's the
go.
next one.
Charles Mont, September 10th, everybody. Check in with us. Thank you for being here.
Okay.